All right, hello everyone. Let me just get this stool in the right place. There we go. Oh, good to see you all, or know that you're here at least. Let me just get YouTube up on my phone so I could talk to you all. So, when I'm not in front of the camera, I usually have the music and the microphone muted. So that way, one, I don't get a copyright from the music, and two, people can't hear my conversations about money embezzling or law breaking, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Let me just turn down the volume on my phone. Uh-oh. Skip survey. Live chat. Here we are. So, hello everyone. Hello Ron. Hello Moonzer. Hello Mike. Hello Killer of Rock and Roll. Russell Cooper says, be punctual, bored now, bye. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, Empire of Waterloo says, greetings from the Empire of Waterloo. This might be my first time back since you reorganized your setup. Oh, nice. Well, then, yeah. I have moved to a new apartment, so this is actually my new apartment. All right. Tyler says, are you growing a goatee? No, I just haven't shaved, that's all. Malibu Company says, hey Alex, how are you? Incredibly busy. I've been working on all kinds of videos and haven't finished a single one of them. So I've been much busier than usual. This phone, I need a new phone case. There we go. Set this down so... Well, actually, it doesn't really belong there because then you can't really see what's going on here. Just have to hold the phone, I guess. Yeah. Empire Waterloo says 10 out of 10 for the porthole. Thank you, yeah. I gotta change the image in the porthole. But I gotta get new ink for the printer. Moonzer says, Alex, one of the items from Queen Mary will be steward call button plate. Did I skip something? Because, I don't. Oh, yeah. It seemed almost as if I read in the middle of a conversation or something. Ah, here we go. Hey, Alex, I'm going to buy relics that were from the RMS Queen Mary, also eBay. One of them is a Queen Mary Steward call plate. Two will be China from the ship. Awesome. Good luck on that. Hey there, Shiloh. How's it going? Malibu Company says, Disney is a mess. Good that we're both finished with it. Yes, I know, right? Oh, goodness. Okay, so today, everyone, I am doing Earl Grey tea. I do apologize for being so late. You know, it's just really not easy setting up a live stream. I have the worst luck in the world. I always have something wrong with the software. And today, once again, it was getting the camera to turn on the computer. I do this every week. You would think that it would be the same thing every time. You would think that the same process of setting up the camera would be exactly the same, but it's not. It changes. For some reason, something always happens. The software malfunctions, the software needs an update, the camera does something weird. It's always something. And these are things that I have tried to prevent over the last 2 years of doing these tea time streams. I've tried. Sometimes it's just stuff that's beyond my control and I have to fix it, you know, and so I am doing my best. But unfortunately, I am just not good with technology, and technology hates me. Hence why I do almost everything, if I can, entirely analog. So yeah, I do apologize for being late, and I do know that there was someone who was upset with me for being late, but honestly, I'm punctual with everything else in life. I've never been late to work when I had different jobs. I've rarely ever called out unless I was really, really, really sick. You know, so that is not usually me. But when it comes to You know, when it comes to technology, I suck at it. I'm sorry. I've tried. I'm a boomer in a millennial's body. I just can't do it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and warm up some of this the china here. So but yeah, I do feel bad about being late because it does make me look bad. But this is one of those things where I'm just like, this is it's like an act of God. But probably in this case an act of AI. Let's see. All right. Fill that one up. Get these pre-warming. See, I don't know if I mentioned it, but today will be Earl Grey tea. And what's really funny was at noon, I put some pork ribs in the oven. And so they've been slow cooking in the oven for 4 hours now. And boy, they smell so good. But they won't be ready for another 4 hours because I'm slow cooking them in the oven. Yeah, the thing about pork ribs is you have to cook them for 8 hours, slow cooking. You can't do 4, you can't do 6. Because, yeah, it'll cook and it's edible, but it'll be tough, or tougher at least. I mean, it does soften up after 6 hours, but it's still somewhat tougher, and there are certain, like, collagens that are still haven't broken down yet. It takes the full 8 hours on low heat to break down the collagens in the ribs and make the whole thing really soft and fall off the bone. That is the truth. So as much as I would love to have dinner at 6 p.m., I have to wait till 8. But all right. Let's catch up with some of these. Mike says, Alex, you missed Steve's stream. I know. Before I came home, I went on a walk with my dad, nearby as a nature reserve. And so we just go on walks and stuff and just enjoy nature and whatever. And so, yeah, I had forgotten that Steve told me he was doing a live stream on the Queen Mary today, so I missed that. But I'll rewatch it later on. Maybe when I'm eating dinner or something, or after dinner, I'll watch it. Empire of Waterloo says, I appreciate your video editing so much more now that I've started making my own content and see how much effort you put into your videos. It's a lot. And, and when you're learning a new skill like video editing, it does not come easy. Especially, like I said, I am terrible with technology. Just absolutely terrible. So when I start working on a project and something goes wrong with the software, I have no idea what to do. And I search the internet like anybody else would. But, have you guys ever, like, had a problem with a computer, and you go on Google to see if anybody else has had the same problem, and everybody else who gives you a solution has like 50 different solutions to the same problem, and none of them are working. Like, it makes you wonder, like, how is it possible to have so many different ways to resolve a problem, and yet none of those ways work for your computer? It's like, it tells you, click on this page or go to this file. And when you do that, you're like, oh, that page or that file is not there. How is it that this person has it on their computer, but mine doesn't? So it's, oh, God, I hate technology. I hate technology. Moonzer says, Alex, did you know the slot machines on QE2 are original? Absolutely, yes. K4RNA says, hey Alex, nice to see you. I have a nice Tetley tea going and just hanging out. Nice, I've never heard of that kind of tea. J-ships. I guess, that's funny, I guess. Ron says, wanted to go last week to visit, but not sure if the whole ship is open for self-touring. I decided to wait. The whole ship is not open for self-touring, but a great amount of the ship is. So you can go there, walk around the entire promenade, walk around part of the bow. You can go to the engine rooms by yourself. not the boiler rooms, but the engine room by yourself. I think you can go to the steering gear room by yourself. You can't go to sun deck by yourself, and you can't go to the bridge by yourself. I know because my friend Chris went there 2 days ago, and he couldn't go to any of those places. Like my friend Steve was there, I think Saturday or Sunday or something like that, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the sun deck is partially open." And so when my friend Chris went, he was like, "I can't get up there. It's all closed up." And I'm like, "Oh man." So I had Chris on a video call with me on Discord, so that way I could like I was literally being Chris's director because he was doing all the filming for me, so I can do a Queen Mary construction update, which is coming this Friday or Saturday, you guys. He's said he sent me the link for the footage, so I'm gonna check it out later on. But yeah, so he went there to film a bunch of footage, so that way I can do another update for you guys this week. And I was on a call with him almost the entire time he was there, just directing him what to film, where to go, how to get there, because he doesn't know like how to get around the ship when you really like need to go deep into the ship to find something. So here I am telling him how to get around. Now the funny thing about that, and I just thought about this, and I do realize I'm kind of babbling. The funny thing about that is the last time I was at Queen Mary was in January of 2020, and I knew so little about the ship, I actually didn't know how to get around the ship. If you had asked me, "Alex, where's the second class main lounge?" I would have been like, I don't even, what? You know? And the funny thing is that over the last 3 years, my obsession with the Queen Mary has grown so much that I actually can picture where everything is on the ship right now, or at least most of everything, without even having been there in 3 years. So it's actually kind of funny. I was telling him how to get around the ship, and yet I had never even been to these places myself. So that's kind of crazy when you think about it. What's the time? 4:24, 5 minutes, so 4:29. All right, and then I'm going to rewarm this. So yeah, that was really crazy. Like, the last time I was at the ship, I knew so little about it. I didn't even know how to get around the ship. And now here I am, 3 years later, still haven't been to the ship again, and telling my friend how to get around. That's pretty funny. Rena says, "We forgive you for being late." Oh, thank you so much, Rena. Oh, but by the way, for those of you folks who live in Southern California or close enough, the Queen Mary... oh, well, never mind. It's after 4. Between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. today, Pacific time, they were letting the first 1,000 people who showed up to the ship get free admission and free parking. I hope a lot of people took advantage of that. I posted it on Facebook. I posted it in a community post last night on the computer, on my YouTube channel. I'm really surprised that they barely announced it 24 hours before. Literally 24 hours before they announced it. And I'm like, why would you announce it 24 hours, barely 24 hours ahead of time? You know, there are people who live in like Arizona or Oregon who probably would have driven down there for free admission, free parking, spent all their money on the ship on food and merchandise and tours, you know, even if they got free admission and free parking. People could have really taken advantage of that. But with 24 hours notice, you don't have that ability, you know. I don't get it. Sometimes some of the things they do with the ship, with marketing it and stuff, it just doesn't make sense. And if it was like a last minute decision, well then why not put it off till Friday? I mean, Friday is a good day to give free admission anyway, you know. So yeah, like, you know, weird. Like if they were like, oh no, we only have 24 hours until when we decided to do this. Oh, let's just put it off till Friday, or let's put it off till Wednesday of the next week at least. So you give people 7 days chance to decide how they're going to get down there and do, you know, and get to the ship. And you know, and if people show up and they are the 1,001st person, so they don't get in free, Well, I'm sure that they'd still pay the parking and still pay the admission to get on the ship because they went through the effort to get there. So why? Why wouldn't why wouldn't you give people a week's notice at least? I don't get. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. But yeah, Moonzer says, Alex, I want one of those portholes next to your head. How can I get one? So that porthole I got on. Was it Amazon? I think it was Amazon. It's made of resin, but the center part is glass, and actually it does open up like a porthole. It's not necessarily a picture frame, because there are portholes on Amazon that are sold as picture frames, but this one isn't necessarily a picture frame. It's literally just a replica porthole made of resin and glass. So, but yeah, it's kind of cool. You can actually twist the little nuts and to open it, so you can actually swing the door open, or door nut, but the porthole door open. So it's actually kind of cool. Let's see. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Ozzy says, how is Alex's weather today? A lot better. I think the high today will be 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so really not that bad. One more minute on the T. Yeah, went on a walk today. It was not cool enough for my taste to be on a walk, but at least it wasn't warm. So, you know, I like to go on walks and stuff on a cold morning. You know, that's kind of my favorite thing. Moonzer says, Alex, do you know what punka louvers are? They are the air conditioning circular things in the staterooms. Yes, I know. Let's see. Ozzy says, congratulations, hitting 46,000 new subscribers. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, once I release some of the videos I'm working on, the Queen Mary update that should be at the end of this week, and then I'll be putting out a Mauritania video and another Queen Mary video, like a Queen Mary history video. Once I put out that stuff, I think there'll be another surge in views, and I'll probably surpass 50K. So actually, I'm thinking about like how I'm gonna celebrate the 50K mark, because I think I should celebrate it. You know, like 50K is a huge milestone. So yeah, I want to see if there's a way I can celebrate that. Maybe I'll make a special video for the channel. I don't know. I'm still correlating on that. So, all right, tea time. We're gonna give this a little stir. Get all the tea nice and incorporated. Moonzer says, wait, you have Discord, Alex? Yes, only to speak to my friends and family. Alright, that's nice and incorporated. And yeah. For those of you that had subscribed to my dad's new cooking channel, thank you so much. He was really happy to see all the people that tuned in to watch his show and stuff. So he's already posted 2 videos, and he's about to post a 3rd one soon. It's already uploaded. He just needs to like put a description in it, name it, put a video thumbnail so people can, you know, it'll be attractive for people to want to click on it, that kind of thing. So it's already technically uploaded to YouTube. It's just a matter of time before he posts it publicly. But yeah, for those of you who want to see how to cook some really good food on a small budget, you know, for your family and stuff, you can check the link in the description below this live stream, and there's a link to my dad's channel. It's called Dishing with Joe, but there's a direct link down there, so you don't have to go searching for the channel. But yeah, so he'll have his 3rd video up very soon. The first video he posted, which is a family recipe, Cajun sausage and rice. That video, something was up with the aspect ratio of that video. It was kind of squished. So, but he did fix the problem for the second video, which is about the pork yakisoba. So, so if that first video bothers you, don't worry. The rest of the videos won't be like that. Let's see. K4RNA says, could free admission be a sign of trouble? In other words, no attendance. Free admission would be a sign of trouble for a place that's been open for a while and isn't celebrating something. But the thing is that the Queen Mary is celebrating something. It just had its grand reopening. So to celebrate the grand reopening, they did just a single moment in time of free admission and free parking just to celebrate it. So it's not an ongoing thing. It's just a one-time thing just to say thank you to the community for people who've supported the ship and, you know, and to encourage them to come. But, you know, if it was a thing that was happening like every month, I would think that might be something concerning. But right now, I'd say one of the biggest reasons there is a low attendance on the ship is, one, not many people know it reopened. That's a whole like thing in its own. I don't know why Long Beach has not really publicized the reopening of the ship, but probably that has to do with reason two, and reason two is that the ship is not yet fully reopened. I mean, it technically had its grand reopening, but things like the isolation wards at the stern of the ship, not open. You can't walk around the sun deck, you can't walk around the stern out exterior area, and you can't walk on the forward bow, or what we call the forecastle deck, or forecastle deck. You can't walk out there right now. You know, you can't walk up to the bridge, you can't walk up on the sports deck, which is the highest passenger deck on the ship. You know, so there's already a lot of stuff that still is not open yet. And that may be another reason why people have not yet attended. But yeah, I do know that there was a person who commented on my channel. They said they visited just a few days ago and were pretty disappointed because everything was still shut on the ship. They couldn't really do anything. Part of that is because there's a lot of work going on, and you'll see at the end of this week when I post my construction update on the Queen Mary, there's still a lot of work ongoing on the ship right now. Like, my friend was there, he was walking around certain areas, and you know, you could smell fresh paint, like they had just painted earlier that morning. There are still rooms that are being refurbished. There are still places that are getting refurbished. I haven't even looked through my friend's footage yet, because I need to see the footage to see physically what work has been done that Long Beach hasn't announced that they've been doing yet. Because there's certain things, like, they're not going to announce to everybody, like, oh, we just redid the walls in the first class main smoking room, right? They're not going to do that. That's just not what they do. So my job on my channel is to review my friend's footage and go, that wood paneling has been refurbished since the last time I saw it. And then I take that information and I post it so you guys can see it and learn about it too. So so that's one of the things that I haven't reviewed the footage yet. So when I do, I'll be able to tell you what's been happening on the ship since I posted that first opening update in April. But yeah. Let's see. Thomas Brooks says, hey Alex, been a while since I've been able to catch a live stream. Hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you so much. Hello, Elucia. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please correct me if I'm not. But Elucia Black just became a historian level member. Thank you so much. Mike, I don't I don't join people's Discord. I don't even really like Discord to begin with, but I use it to talk to friends who frankly don't use their phones to communicate. but it's my way to speak to people that I know and I'm very familiar with. But I don't do like going on people's Discord servers and talking to them. And the reason why is because if I join one person's Discord server, everybody's going to want me to join theirs. Everybody's going to want, you know, time to talk to me. And the thing is with nearly 50,000 subscribers, I don't have the time to do that. I'm here making videos for you guys night and day. So unfortunately, as time has progressed, I've realized that I've needed to kind of step away from communication with individuals in order to try to maintain the level of work I do on the channel. So if there is a way people want to talk to me, it's got to be through these live streams. And that's why I will speak to anybody who wants to say something to me or to ask a question. You don't have to donate in the chat just to talk to me. I try to get to everyone's questions. If they're not asking a question, I'll read it in my head, but I won't read it out loud. But if you are asking a question, then I'll answer it out loud. But yeah, so the live streams are really the only way really to communicate to me, you know, on a personal level. Oh, see you later, Steve. Liners, I was reading your name. Ken says, hey Alex, I was wondering if the Forney is considered a tank engine. Technically, yes. So that's why it's called, like, let's say you have the traditional Forney, which is a 044T. The T stands for tank. So technically, yeah, it's considered a tank engine. But usually when you tell someone, oh, this is a tank engine, the first thing they picture is like either a saddle tank or tanks on either side. But yeah, a Forney is a tank engine. Alright, let's try this tea. I was giving it a moment to cool down. Oh, that's so good. Man, Earl Grey tea is so nice. And it's a nice day outside, honestly. It's partly cloudy, so, you know, right now you can see some blue skies, and there's big, heavy clouds rolling over, so it's actually a really nice day. Windsor says the Queen Mary's port side wing, I think you mean the bridge wing, is kind of in dire shape. The paint is coming off. It is, yeah. So you might have noticed that even though they have repainted the forward superstructure of the Queen Mary, they've stripped it down all the way to the steel and repainted it, but they can't do the bridge wings. And the reason why is because the bridge wings are not currently considered safe enough for people, even construction workers, to really walk on or climb on. And those bridge wings do need to be repainted. So the way that they would do that is, first, the bridge wings would have to be repaired. They have to bring in special equipment that can be what's the word, cantilevered off of the ship and supports its own weight, so they can get around the bridge wing and fix it, repair it, do that kind of thing. And then once it's repaired, it can be repainted. But yeah, currently in its current state, they can't walk out onto it. They can't put any weight on it. I mean, technically, me and Steve were talking about this the other day. He was like, you know, honestly, he's like, I don't think the bridge wings are that dangerous if you were to walk on them. He goes, it's just that they're being overly cautious. And I said, yeah, I agree. I was like, I don't think it's that dangerous. They're just being overly cautious. But, you know, I would rather them be overly cautious than to not. So, but yeah, hopefully the bridge wings will be one of those things that gets repaired and restored soon. Because that's kind of a fun part about being on the Queen Mary, is walking up to the bridge wings and being able to, like, stand 10 feet away from the superstructure of the ship and look straight down and see water 90 feet below you. Like, that's a pretty cool sight. So, yeah. K4RNA says, I guess we can change the chat icons. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I was thinking about that last time. Like, you might notice, K4RNA, that your membership image is the spruce goose over a purple background. And I changed that around the time that I was like, okay, I got other stuff I want to use as images for the channel. And one of the things I was considering was the emojis, because you can put, if you're a member of the channel, you can use special emojis when you do chat. And you can see them right now, the Mickeys. And I'm like, maybe I should change that, but I couldn't think of any emoji I could use that was not a regular emoji, but might be related to steam power. I was like, there's no emoji that's related to steam power. So I'm leaving the Mickeys on there for now. Historic Production says, hey Alex, did Queen Mary ever originally have 3-bladed propellers, or she originally had the 4-bladed props? She always had 4-bladed props. She never had the 3-bladed. It just says, have you ever been to Ohio before? No. No, not Ohio. Killer of Rock and Roll says, will you do a model train update? I'm just curious because I love YouTube channel. Yeah, so that's another thing I've got to get going is the model railroad. I gotta unpack everything and get it going. I was gonna unpack it all last week and have it set up because my friend Steve was gonna visit me, and I was gonna show him the progress on the layout, but he ended up getting sick, so he couldn't visit me, and so I was like, oh man, and then I never unpacked it and got it set up. So, but yeah, I have to do that because I actually want to move all my train-related content to a separate channel. For the most part, not everything train-related will move, but most of it will move. So, yeah. Yes, I've heard of a cab-forward steam locomotive. I've actually seen one before, I think. My memory is kind of fuzzy sometimes. The Forney is not technically considered a cab-forward locomotive. And the reason why is because there's a tank. Even if you're reversing the locomotive, there's a tank in front of you, which makes it hard to see where you're going regardless. But that was one of the advantages of a Forney, was that it runs just as well in reverse as it does going forward. And so Forneys were often used in municipal elevated railways going in reverse in order to move the train forward, because of the fact that you could see over the tank and it was a better view than looking forward from the boiler. So yeah, in a way, you could say they were the first cab-forward locomotives, but technically they're not because there is a tank in front of it. I'm going to have one of my McVitie's chocolate-covered tea biscuits. Moonzer says, my dad's friend sailed that Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth. He told me he got to eat cereal with the captain. Nice. Killer of Rock and Roll. No, I've never been to Arkansas. Moonzer says, that's some nice QE cabin footage. Thanks. Hey, Jeffrey, how's it going? Ozzy says, full reverse. Not sure what that means. You're able to ride raspberry tea before it's good. All right. Well, it looks like I caught up with all the comments. I rarely get to do that. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, so the current work that's happening on Queen Mary is just amazing. I've seen some of this stuff. Like, for instance, remember in my last update, I was talking in the update about how they removed the plexiglass panels that were on the forward exterior promenade deck. They removed the plexiglass panels because they're not original to the ship. And I was saying in that update, they may be refurbishing this area, they may be returning it to the way it originally looked. Well, they are. They are returning it to the way it originally looked. They've already refurbished the teak decking out there. So the decking, and I have to be very specific about this, the decking on the forward exterior promenade deck, which is at the front of the superstructure, that is original to the ship, original to 1936. And it's been sanded and refinished, and it looks brand new, honestly. It looks amazing. And then as for where the plexiglass was installed, they're reinstalling wood handrails as it would have been in the 1930s, in the time that Queen Mary was in service. So that's really cool because it's been a couple decades since there was wooden handrails in that section of the promenade, because there was plexiglass there. So I'm actually really excited about that. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Moser says, Alex, you should get a Queen Mary model. There are none that are at the same scale as this Titanic, and there are none that are quite that detailed, unless I were to hire a model building company to specifically build me a model, which will cost several hundred to several $1,000s. I'm not going to spend that money. So until a model company releases a model kit that I can buy that is the same scale as this Titanic and is the same detail and stuff, the nice detail, then I'll buy it, but there's currently none, so I can't. For now, all I have is this this picture that you see here of a cutaway of the Queen Mary. Jeffrey says, are you trying to get back to uploading 2 videos a week? I think you were doing 2 a week. I was doing 2 a week for a while, but that was really hard to maintain. Because what I was doing was I was doing 1 documentary a week, and then I was doing 1, I don't know what to call it. It's a kind of video where I just sit in front of the camera and tell you something. And unfortunately, the latter one, sitting in front of the camera and talking, it's not a big hit with people. You either love it or you hate it, and most of the people hate it. And the reason why is because, for one thing, it's not scripted, and the reason why it's not scripted is a long story. But just take my word for it, I can't script those videos. I can't write it out ahead of time and then talk to it in front of a camera. That takes a whole other skill set that I just don't have. Yeah. The other thing, too, is that doing 2 videos a week takes away from the quality of the videos, because then I don't have the time to get the information correct. I have to take what I see at face value and then turn it into a video. And I don't like doing that, because then I get like hundreds of people in the comments that are like, actually, you got that wrong. And so what I prefer to do is take my time to assess every fact in the video that I possibly can in a reasonable amount of time, and then relay that fact accurately. And it's actually kind of, to go off on a tangent here, it does suck because I am human. There are times where I make mistakes. Like in my Turbinia video about the Turbinia boat, there was a lot of people that were just like upset because in the video I had quoted a line from the book The Only Way to Cross by John Maxtone Graham. I was quoting a line in this book that said the dreadnoughts were lined up. And this took place at the Spithead Review in 1894, if I remember correctly. It was Queen Victoria's Jubilee. I think it was the Diamond Jubilee. So it was the review at Spithead. And I quoted the book, and it said the dreadnoughts were lined up. Now, if you do research, you know that dreadnoughts didn't come out till 1906. So the ships that were basically the same exact design as what the dreadnoughts would become, the originals, were considered later on pre-dreadnoughts. And I put that on screen in the video. I said, these earlier vessels are considered pre-dreadnoughts. But people don't say pre-dreadnought. It's actually more appropriate just to call them dreadnoughts. And I decided to follow that protocol, which was a huge mistake. A lot of people don't know that there is kind of a historic protocol to call them dreadnoughts, regardless if they are pre-dreadnoughts or whether you don't like them to be called pre-dreadnoughts. But I followed the protocol, and I read the quote directly. And the thing was that I got all these people that were like, those aren't dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts didn't come out till 1906. Do your research, why don't you? And blah, blah, blah. And all these people that literally got just up in arms over it. I said to these people, I'm like, first of all, this video is not about the dreadnoughts. It is about Turbinia. So, sorry if I got something wrong off of a ship that has nothing to do with the development of Turbinia. And second of all, I quoted a book. I'm like, this was from a maritime historian that is much respected, even to this day. I'm like, so don't, kill the messenger over it. But thirdly, if you do the research, you find that they were called pre-dreadnoughts. And it's because they were just so similar to the dreadnoughts that they are just called pre-dreadnoughts. So anyway, to kind of summarize, or to conclude, it's one of those things where I want to avoid that as much as I can. I don't want to have to go back and explain to people, look, I said this because of this reason. And so if I had more time, I probably would have just reconsidered reading that quote and then just not gone by protocol and just said, these random ships were lined up for Spithead Review. So yeah, that's just, that's one of the things I deal with on YouTube is, I would consider that semantics, to be totally honest. I mean, maybe it's because I'm really not into Navy ships of any kind. Maybe that's why I feel that way. But to me, that's kind of like splitting hairs, K4RNA says, Alex, you worry too much about trolls. I really don't. It seems that way because I talk about it. But the thing is I don't get upset over every troll that comes my way. Believe me, or else you'd hear a lot more about it. There are a lot of trolls. I'll be sitting down eating dinner with my dad, and then all of a sudden I get a notification on my phone, and it's some random person who's like, you're an idiot. Well, and I could sit there and, fire back at them, but I don't. I just look at my phone, I'm like, whatever, and I put my phone down. I ignore, like, 19 out of 20 trolls, but every once in a while that 20th troll says something where I feel like it's actually a good talking point. So the reason why I mention this whole thing about Turbinia and the dreadnoughts and all that is not because I'm upset about what the person said. It's because I think what they said was actually a good point to make. The point was that if I'm not in a hurry, I can consider the things I say in my videos a lot more carefully and really weigh the options of how I say something. But when I'm in a rush, I just, if I think something might be kind of hazy and I should, and I should go in, into detail, if I'm in a rush, I can't do that. I just am like, you know what, I'll just quote the book and then I'll let people like argue with the book. But if I had more time, which is what I've been trying to do recently, is give myself more time to make videos, then I'll just find a better way of saying something. So that's really why I'm talking about it. Not because I'm really complaining, but actually just because I'm telling you about how I, even sometimes, once again, 1 out of every 20 trolls has a good point. And I try to take that criticism and do something better with it. So, and some of the criticisms that people have made over the years has actually made my channel better. So, I hate to admit that. But some of them have actually some really good ideas, even though they're very rude about it. So, that's the funniest one of all. I'm trying to think of an example of something a troll said, and I was kind of like, I don't like that he said that, but he's right. There's a few things. What was it? Well, now I can't think of it because now I'm putting a spotlight on myself trying to remember. But yeah, there have been a few things on the channel. Oh, one of the things was when I talk about measurements of a ship or of a locomotive or whatever, if I use imperial units, which is what Americans use for measurement of, volume or dimension, we use imperial. That's what we Americans do. And most of the people in the UK actually know imperial units very well. But one person was just so rude on my channel. They're like, I forget what they said, but they were just very rude about it. And they were like, nobody uses imperial units. Why don't you use a system of measurement that everybody else uses? And blah, blah, and they were just going on and on. I don't know what they said anymore because I don't try to remember the things they say. But as rude as they were about it, I thought about what they said. I'm like, they do have a point though, is that I may have a lot of Americans watching my videos, but I have looked at the demographics and there are people from all over the world that watch my videos, and it would really be beneficial if I could also include some metric units in there. So when I think there's a measurement that I think is very important to mention in metric, I will mention both. I will give it in imperial and metric. But there are times where I'm like, oh, this engine was speeding along at, I don't know, 40 miles an hour, something like that, right? It's not pertinent to the story to know the speed number because the rest of the story is about what happened afterwards. So I'll just go 40 miles an hour. And then next thing you know, even though the rest of the video had tons of me just giving metric, that one little unit that I did not give in metric, someone will be like, that, that's ridiculous. And in that case, I just go, okay, whatever, So I let a lot of it roll off my back. But like I said, 1 in every 20, I'm kind of like, So, Ron says, Alex, do you like Mauritania too? The ship kind of looks like a mini Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, I like it. It's not one of my favorites, but yeah, I do like the Mauritania too. It does look like a mini Queen Elizabeth on the inside and the outside. Tyler says, Alex, when I said any shops in Piccadilly Circus, I was talking about main hall of Queen Mary. Did you mention Piccadilly Circus? Any stores in Piccadilly Circus? I don't know if that was a question. Are you asking if there are any stores in Piccadilly Circus on the Queen Mary? Or are you just mentioning that there are stores in Piccadilly? I don't know. What you're asking specifically. Historic Production says, hey Alex, you can get a Lego model of the Queen Mary from Histobricks that they made. I know, yeah, it does look pretty cool. I think a younger me who was really into Legos and stuff would really enjoy it. But as an adult, I don't know. I kind of got out of Legos, so I don't really enjoy it. But there are a lot of people who collect like the really rare Lego models like that. Like they have, like Histobricks does a lot of really great Lego models and stuff. So everybody builds that and stuff. But I don't deal with Legos anymore. Not because I'm older. I think I just grew out of it, that's all. It's just something I was just kind of like, I prefer the detail, you know? It's kind of also the reason why I don't play Minecraft, because I know so many people are like, Alex, you would love Minecraft, or, oh, you gotta see the Queen Mary in Minecraft, because there are a few people who've made a Queen Mary in Minecraft. But I'm not interested. I'm like, there's not enough detail, you know? It's all pixelated. When I was a kid, and we played with like video games, we were always obsessed with the video game that had the best graphics. We were always like, you know, the less pixelated it was, the more interested we were in it. But it's kind of, people who are into Minecraft have kind of reversed that. They're like, oh, we love the blocks and the stuff. I got my friend Eric, he builds like his own little theme park in Minecraft. And it's a cool theme park when you consider it, but half the time he shows me the stuff he makes. He's like, oh, look at this ride I built. And I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, is that a ride? It just looks like a pile of blocks. Like, you know, and I hate to say that because he put so much effort into it. But when I look at Minecraft, my imagination doesn't soar quite the same way it does with people who build stuff out of Minecraft blocks. So I look at it and it looks like a mess of blocks. But when someone else looks at it, they go, oh my gosh, that looks like the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, what is it? You know, so, yeah. Oh, let's see. Tyler says, yes, I was asking if there are stores on board Queen Mary. There are, yeah. They're all Queen Mary owned stores. But yeah, there are. So there's a gift shop on A deck in the first class lobby. That's where the first class passengers used to load in, was on A deck. And there's a little gift shop there. Then on Promenade in Main Hall, Piccadilly Circus, there are several. There's the former library, which now has maps, books, trinkets, all kinds of stuff, not necessarily related to library objects, but kind of, I mean, just like to put that aside, I really feel that the operators of the Queen Mary should reorganize the shops on Piccadilly to kind of sell something that might be related to what, you know, to what the space was originally used for. So the library should be where you sell books and stationery, maps and postcards. Well, not postcard. Nobody uses postcards anymore, but posters of the ship. Anything related to paper products or writing things. You know, some people still collect some really nice pens and stuff. You know, yeah, all kinds of, like, so a lot of paper and stationery products should be sold in the first class library. On the opposite side of the library, on the other side of Piccadilly Circus, they use the old drawing room as a place to sell more merchandise, sweaters, clothing, that kind of stuff, uh, keychains, and I think occasionally they had home good items, just some, maybe like a Queen Mary coffee mug, that kind of thing. But the drawing room, the women would use that to kind of relax as a lounge. They might take their tea in there. I think the drawing room should be used as a gift shop that sells home goods. Like, you go to Disneyland, there's a whole shop dedicated to home goods. And they have everything from Mickey pillows to all kinds of dishware and cookingware that is all Mickey themed. Hand towels, teacups, all kinds of coffee mugs, not just the typical cylindrical coffee mugs, but sculpted looking coffee mugs, that kind of thing. And I'm like, Queen Mary should sell that in the drawing room. Is they should sell Queen Mary related everything. They should even sell replicas of the Queen Mary, what am I trying to say? Replicas of the Queen Mary tea set. So this is the tea set here. They used to sell replicas on the Queen Mary itself. They had a cheap replica made, but it looked nice and it looked like this. And I'm like, they should come up with a contract with a company that will make this stuff out of porcelain, like cheap like not China, but just porcelain, so it's cheaper. I'm like, and sell. They should do that. Or replicate the original souvenir version of this, because when the Queen Mary was in service, she had a souvenir version of this tea set. So like this milk jug had like roses and stuff all over it, and it was beautiful, and it's perfect if you're getting if you're bringing home like a souvenir. So they should sell the replica souvenir stuff again, that kind of thing. I think that would be really neat. And then there should be another shop. So there's a center shop on the Queen Mary. I don't think it's going to be used for anything anytime soon. But there was a center shop there that was I don't remember the name, but it was a fancy men's department store. And it was fancy. Back then it was like, the Neiman Marcus of today, right? And I don't remember what it was. Oh, they had a shop on Piccadilly Circus. It was the center shop. And then they had one for second class. And it was in between the entrance doors of the second class main lounge on main deck. And so that's where the two shops were on the Queen Mary. And I'm like, the one on Piccadilly Circus, they should reopen it as a men's clothing store, or at least as a clothing store. So that should be where you get like nicer Queen Mary clothing. Maybe you get some fedoras there. Maybe you can get some 1930s, clothing accessories, because there's lots of people that still like to dress in 1930s clothing, even if you're just wearing it for the ship itself, So they should sell some things there, and then a few modern things that people can walk away with. Use that as a clothing store. But yes, but maybe for Austin Reed, thank you so much, Tyler. Austin Reed was the fancy men's clothing store that was operated on the two areas of the Queen Mary, Piccadilly Circus for first class, and then right next to the main lounge for second class. So, Austin Reed, thank you so much, Tyler. Shiloh says, I have a dessert plate, saucer, and cup from that replica set. Deeply regret I didn't purchase any more, though I was under the impression I would be returning there. That was the same day I saw you. Oh, no way! You bought that set on the same day? Oh my gosh. The store you are referring to is Austin Reed's Men's Clothing. They are designed ties for the Queen Mary. What was I saying? So, yeah, that was the funny thing. So, HBC in the chat, he's my friend Shiloh. The funny thing was Shiloh is the one who helped teach me all the stuff in the beginning about the Queen Mary. Like, he was like my training wheels for learning about Queen Mary, because when I visited the ship in January of 2020, that was probably the fourth time I visited the ship in my whole life. But that was the only time I became obsessed with the ship. And I met him there on that day. We were asking for directions because Shiloh, he collects a lot of vintage clothing and stuff, and he did have like I think a Cunard officer's uniform on that day, so I thought he worked for the ship, or maybe he was just a really big Queen Mary fan. So I remember my friends and my friend Steve, my friend Chris, I was there with them, and we were like trying to figure out how to get somewhere, and we all thought, oh, like this guy over here is all dressed up, like he probably knows this ship really well. So we asked him for directions. I don't remember where we were going, but we asked him for directions, and he told us exactly where to go. So that was really cool. And I had no idea that like almost a year later I would be contacting him, because I was like, he had commented on my vlog. The vlog is no longer on the channel, but he commented on the vlog, and he's like, hey, if you ever want to hear anything about or learn anything about the Queen Mary, just ask. And so a year later, I was just kind of like, you know what, I do want to make stuff about the Queen. Well, it wasn't a whole year later, actually. It was just months later that I was kind of like, I was like, yeah, I want to make Queen Mary videos, but I know nothing about the ship, and I need to do some research before I can. So I needed someone to direct me to learn stuff, because, I mean, when you start off trying to learn something entirely brand new, you don't even know where to start. So I had contacted Shiloh, and I was like, yeah, I need to learn all this stuff, and he was just like my training wheels. He taught me everything, all the basics of the Queen Mary and stuff like that, and where to find information so I could learn more and more, and the funny thing was like, I was like, wait a minute, like, you're the guy I met on the ship. So that was pretty funny. Yeah, so I'm just reading people's comments to see if anybody asked me anything. Daniel says, yeah, Alex, I'm going to the Queen Mary with my cousin on Thursday. What would you recommend? Glory Days or Steam and Steel? Ooh, that's a tough one, because the Steam and Steel tour is really cool. If you're really into machinery and learning how the ship operated, the Steam and Steel tour is for you. But if you want to know what it was like to be a passenger aboard the Queen Mary, yeah, the Glory Days is pretty good. Yeah. Gosh, it's difficult. I think if I was there and someone said, Alex, which one would you go on? Which tour would you go on? I would choose the Steam and Steel tour, because I just love technology so much that I just, I've already been on that tour twice in my life, but yeah, I would choose it again because it's just a fun tour. Doc says, Alex, I got here late. Have you talked about the concert yet? Did you enjoy it? Yeah, actually, I was talking to you about the Cure concert on the last live stream. So you had asked me about it then, and I was talking about it then. Ron says, I mentioned this before, but I'm currently building a Lego Titanic. Not the Lego model sold in 2021. I'm building a 9-foot in length, fully detailed. I've built others over the years. Wow. I've purchased the Lego model as well. Love Lego. Wow, yeah. You know what's actually really cool? Have you heard or seen the Queen Mary Lego model that's on the Queen Mary? I want to say it's a 20-foot model. And when I first saw it, was actually on... I'm trying to remember accurately. I saw it on video and photograph, but I've never seen it in person technically, because when I was there at the Queen Mary last, we went directly to the... Shiloh, that's what it was. It was, I was asking you directions where the Lego Queen Mary was, and you told us how to get there. So that's what it was. I wanted to see the Lego Queen Mary, but the doors were closed that day. Didn't have the exhibit open for people to look at. So I never actually got to walk up to it. But I did look through the windows in the dark room and saw the 20-foot model of the Queen Mary in Lego. That is a cool model. So yeah, if your Titanic model is that detailed, I'm going to be very impressed. Shiloh says, funny enough, when it was time to eat, I went at the Chelsea Chowder House, I believe it was, and they seated me directly next to you. Yes, yeah, I know. That's the crazy thing. Was like, the first time I saw Shiloh, he had walked into the main hall, or Piccadilly Circus, as I was filming, and you can actually sometimes see him in the shot. Like, if you watch my Queen Mary narrated tour video, which, by the way, is being updated later this year, you'll see him walking into the Piccadilly Circus. It's actually kind of funny. But yeah, and then yeah, when I went to eat at the Chelsea Chowder House restaurant with me and Steve and Chris, they seated you on the table next to me, and that's why we asked you for directions, because we were like, we want to see the Queen Mary Lego model, but we don't know how to get there, and this guy looks like he knows everything about the Queen Mary, so we asked you. That was pretty funny. Tyler says, I saw the Lego Queen Mary in person in 2017 on my 30th birthday. Nice. 2017. Yeah. Yeah, the Lego Queen Mary, I still want to see that in person. But thankfully, my friend Chris got footage of it the other day for me. So when I see the footage, I'll be able to review it. But yeah, all this footage I've had Chris get for me the last 2 months, because he went there in April. Now he's been there again this June. I think I need him to go one more time in August. So probably August, when he gets me more footage. I'll be able to make an entirely brand new Queen Mary tour video. Because there's certain rooms that on the ship that, while he did film them, they're not finished with refurbishment, or they weren't when he filmed them. So I need him to go back and film those rooms again. And then there are certain areas that have not reopened yet, like the isolation ward. It hasn't reopened. I have footage of the isolation ward, but that was footage from 2020. And maybe when it reopens later this year, it'll be refurbished. Maybe there's brand new floors. Maybe they've repainted it. I don't know. So if there is something new to see, then I want to make sure that's included in the new tour video. So probably in August, there will be a Queen Mary narrated tour video that's updated for 2023. And I'll probably do a full Queen Mary updated tour video maybe every 2 years, you know. Because things will be in constant change on the Queen Mary from now on. There will constantly be refurbishments, restorations going on, and there will always be something new to see aboard the ship. So maybe every 2 years I'll put out a brand new narrated tour of the Queen Mary. Wow, it's already 5:21? I feel like I've only been on this live stream for like 30 minutes. That's probably technically true. I was late to the start of the live stream. Rena says, I want to go back to the Queen Mary to do the Haunted Encounters and Steam and Steel tour. I did the Glory Days tour twice. Nice. Yeah, the Queen Mary is... I really, really want to go back so badly. I wish I had the money to do it. I really wish. But... patience, you know, I have to be patient. You know, I try not to think about it too much. I try not to, because I do miss the ship a lot, and I'm always thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, I really wish I could be there, but you know, I have to be patient. It will happen. I will be able to see it again. I just need to like calm the heck down and keep on going with my life, and one day I'll go back. But yeah, let me get a napkin real quick because I got chocolate on my thumb, and I don't want to like touch all the china and get the chocolate everywhere. Hold on just a second. So grab this tissue here. Here we go. I probably have chocolate on my mouth too. Nope. That's good. That would have been embarrassing. Alright, so and yeah, the other thing too is that like one of the reasons why I haven't gone to the Queen Mary is because I'm saving up for my UK trip, and I don't want to use that money for the UK and go down to Southern California to see the Queen Mary. Like, the money I'm saving up is for that UK trip, and that UK trip means so much to me. Thomas Brooks says, I'm going on a short vacation to Montreal and Quebec on Saturday. I would love to visit the Empress of Ireland Museum, but we don't have time for it. That's too bad. But I hope you do enjoy your time there at Montreal and Quebec. Hey Tyler, that's great news. I'm very happy to hear that. That you're doing well. Not that you're not necessarily that you're always tuning in, but you know, it's good to hear that you're doing well and that you're well enough to be tuning in again. So, that's good. Yeah, I'm really happy for you, Tyler. It's always good, you know, when someone who is very troubled, you know, they can finally, you know, be happy again, you know. So that means a lot to me. You know, it's because life can be really hard. Sometimes you're just, you know, you're I don't have a good, what do you call it? A good example of what I'm trying to say, but I'm just, you know, life can be very hard, and so it's always good when someone can get help or, you know, can find a way to be happy. So, you know. Ron says, I've seen the Queen Mary Lego model on... See, this icon gets in the way of all the messages. On board, there we go. Okay, I've seen the Lego model on board. Nice. YouTube put this thing in the corner of the screen. It's like a heart, and you can like click it, I guess. What happens if I click it? I guess it's just to add emojis. What did that do? I'm gonna click it again. I don't know what that is. They put a happy face. I guess it just puts a happy face on screen. I don't know what that's for. But yeah, that thing, it's in the corner of the screen, and I can't read people's comments because it's taking up the space. Is there a Queen Mary 2 Lego model? I haven't heard of that. Let's see. It's doing something on my screen. I can see it in the live stream chat. Do you guys see it? No, it's not showing up on there. Sorry, I'm looking at my TV, which is doing the live stream right now. So I'm like looking to see if I see the emojis. Yeah, it's there for me, but not for you. Why does it do that? That's so weird. No idea. No idea what's going on. Yeah, YouTube should move it to somewhere else. So weird. But yeah, so lots of videos in the works for you guys. I just haven't got it done yet. But the first one in the lineup will be the Queen Mary construction update, and then there will be history videos after that that are, you know, either like halfway through production or almost completed. So there, before this month is out, there will be a lot of history videos going on. So it's just that it took the whole beginning of the month just to get ready for it. Mark says it's pumping out lots of hearts and smiles randomly. Very annoying feature. Yeah, I thought it was, because I'm like tapping it. I'm putting all these emojis out. I'm like, what is it doing? What's it doing? So yeah, it is an annoying feature. Yeah, Tyler, I'm just glad you're doing better. So, so some books for those of you who like the Queen Mary and you want to learn more about the Queen Mary, because I do highly suggest that, you know, because the Queen Mary has a very interesting story, and a lot of the story is not even told on the tours of the ship, because there's just so much to the history. But if you want to get like deep down into the history of the Queen Mary, I would suggest this book first and foremost. This is called RMS Queen Mary, Queen of the Queens by William J. Duncan. I'll repeat that again. RMS Queen Mary, Queen of the Queens by William J. Duncan. It's no longer produced anymore, so if you do buy one, you're buying a vintage piece. This one is well over 50 years old. But the good news is, you don't have to buy this book to technically hear the story of the book. I have produced this whole book in audiobook format. So it's on my channel. You just look up RMS Queen Mary, Queen of the Queens audiobook, and or just type in on my channel audiobook, and this will show up because it's the only audiobook I've done. But I did this whole thing in audiobook because I knew that this is kind of a rare book to find, but it's one of the most amazing Queen Mary books there is. It really is. It is so detailed. And it was written in 1969, just 2 years after the ship retired. So a lot of the information of the ship's history was still fresh in everyone's mind. Most of the captains that served aboard the Queen Mary were still alive back then. Most of the crew who worked aboard the Queen Mary, all still alive back then. So a lot of their stories, a lot of their information was put into this book. And it's all stuff that, like, a lot of it is stuff you won't even hear in the tours aboard the Queen Mary today. So if you guys like to listen to something while you're driving on your way to work, or when you're cleaning the house, or, you know, when you're trying to ignore your date when they're talking about their date. No, I'm just kidding. Put on the, that was a joke. Put on the audiobook. It's on my channel. Is there ads? There might be one ad every 30 minutes. Maybe. I don't remember. But it shouldn't be too many ads, because I made sure that YouTube didn't do that. But YouTube does what they want, so it will be up to them ultimately. But it is a really cool book, and it's available to you on audiobook for free on my channel. And it's so amazing. So, and I did my best with narrating it. So, and then if you want to learn more about the technology, the design, the engineering of the Queen Mary, then there is another book you could get, which I love this book. It is so detailed with the engineering and architecture of the ship. This is called The Cunard White Star Quadruple Screw Liner Queen Mary. And I have never found a particular author. So usually you say like, oh, this book is by. I've never found the author. But you just type in Bonanza book, because that's the publisher, Bonanza, and you'll find it. This book is not just a bunch of words, but there's lots of photographs, lots of engineering drawings, and lots of like images of hardware that was installed aboard the ship, lots of equipment that was installed aboard the ship. There's photographs of the various rooms and stuff, examples of how things were constructed. There's concept arts. There's pictures of rooms that don't even exist aboard the ship anymore. And then when you get to the very end, this is my favorite, they show all the ads, the advertisements of things that were constructed for the ship. And it's things from all over Great Britain, you know? So there's things like what's this one? Oh wow. This is an advertisement for marine grade glue for ships. And they're advertising it because they supplied the glue for the Queen Mary. You know, you look up here, slicers. Oh, silencers. So there's some kind of equipment piece that silences engines or whatever, and they're advertising it because they supplied it for the Queen Mary. So you look through the back and they have all these advertisements, pages, like 50 pages, each with like 4 advertisements on each one. They're advertising the people who made the ropes for the Queen Mary, the people who built the light fixtures, the people who you know, cut the wood for the teak decks, like everything. It's so cool. So that's a really good book to have. Honestly, if you have those 2 books alone, you would become almost expert level about the Queen Mary. I'm not even kidding. You would become expert level. Another book that's really good to have, like let's say you're like, okay, I love the Queen Mary, but I don't want to have to buy all these books just to learn some basic facts that I want to know about the ship. This is a good book. This is RMS Queen Mary Manual by Gary Chambers, and it's got a foreword by Commodore Everett Horde. And this book is basically, it's literally a list of facts about the ship, a list of information, a list of fun facts and trivia. And every page has images on it. Every single page has images. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, this book might be boring. This is a really fun book, and it's like if someone you know, I doubt this will happen. If someone you know is like, hey, you know, like how fast did the Queen Mary go, or how powerful was her engines, and you're like, hey, I have this book, you just tune into like the page about the engineering of the ship, and it'll tell you it went this speed, went that speed. It's a fast reference book. That's why it's called Queen Mary Manual, is because it's just a really quick reference book to give you all the quick facts and information you want. And it's detailed enough that, you know, you learn some good stuff about the ship, but it's not hard to understand. And it's written in a way that people of modern day will be able to understand it, as opposed to the stuff from the early 20th century, which is almost like a different language. But yeah, so RMS Queen Mary Manual by Gary Chambers. So those are 3 really good books to have about the RMS Queen Mary. Historic Production says, did Queen Mary had all 3 funnels operational, or is it the first 2 that's operating and the 3rd funnel is an addition for show? Now, all 3 funnels on the Queen Mary vented exhaust from the boilers. Maybe not always all the time. You have to remember that when ships were operating, they always operated at the most fuel efficient possible. So if they were coming into port, they didn't need every last boiler lit, because the ship is about to shut down for, you know, for docking. So, you know, so a lot of the times, a lot of footage and photos of the Queen Mary might only show one or two funnels with smoke coming out, and that's only because as the ship entered or left port, it was not necessary to have all the boilers lit. It was only when she went out to sea and was going full speed to get across the ocean that that you would see all the boilers lit and all the smoke coming out the funnels. But that being said, I do not know of an example of a ship that honestly had a funnel that only was for show. A lot of people will reference Titanic. They'll say, oh, well, Titanic's fourth funnel was just for show. That's not true. Titanic's fourth funnel really was for ventilation, just not for the boiler ventilation. The Titanic's fourth funnel was used to ventilate the smoke from the smoking room, as well as the smoke and exhaust gases from the various galleys and kitchens on the various levels. And I believe it also expelled exhausted air from some of the public spaces aboard the ship. So it really, the fourth funnel on Titanic really was used. I don't know of any ship that had a fake funnel when it came to ocean liners. So, but yeah, so that's just a little fun fact for you. Tyler says, the book you spoke so excitedly about, the second book you mentioned, can I get that on Kindle? Oh, the quadruple screw liner Queen Mary. I don't know if you can get it on Kindle. It's an engineering book. I don't know if you can get it on Kindle, honestly. I kind of doubt it, because a lot of these Queen Mary books are not very popular. I mean, you might get a lot of Titanic books on Kindle, but Queen Mary books, I doubt it. I would be surprised. Let's see. What is it? Oh, Mike says, I have tons of books, mostly on Titanic and some on Olympic and Britannic. Nice. Shiloh says, I love the RMS Queen Mary manual. When I bought it, the lady was nice enough to stamp the inside cover with the official post stamp. Oh, that's so cool. Ron says, Alex, enjoy those 8-hour pork ribs. I've got to start building my Lego Titanic. It's always a pleasure to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much, Ron. Yeah, the pork ribs are going to be so good. Only 2 more hours. Thomas says, I have a Queen Mary book called Anatomy of the Ship, the Cunard liner Queen Mary by Ross Watton. It also has a lot of pictures, diagrams of machines, and other drawings. Oh, nice. I'll have to look that one up. Anatomy of the Ship, the Cunard liner Queen Mary. K4RNA says, that book is on Kindle too. Now I must listen. What book is on? What book is on Kindle? Tyler, the SS America's forward funnel was just for show. It didn't ventilate any air or nothing. It was just a piece of metal sitting on top of the ship. Ron says, Queen Mary by James Steele is a great book as well. I've seen that, but I can't buy it. I think that's the one that's like $100. I don't remember. I looked at there was one, it was almost orange and black, because I think it was a representation of the ship's funnel. But I think that's what the cover was. But I remember there was a book that was like that. It was the colors of the ship's funnel, and it was like $100-something, and I'm like, I ain't buying that. But Thomas says it also the book Anatomy of the Ship also has a set of deck plans. Nice. This one has a set of the quadruple screw liner Queen Mary book, the big orange and white one, that has deck plans as well. It's a page that, it's like a 3-fold page that opens up. I think, unless it's on, anyway, it does have it, yeah. I'm like, My brain is like, no, it's not. But um, K4NA says RMS Queen Mary Manual. Just got it on Kindle. Thanks so much. Yeah, the physical book I have, it has the RMS Queen Mary Manual. Oh no! What did I drop? I dropped a keychain. I'll have to get it later. Yeah, the RMS Queen Mary Manual book, the physical one I have has photographs on it. I don't know about the one on Kindle because I've never looked, but yeah, the physical copy I have has images on every page. It is incredibly loaded with images. But yeah, good book to have. I actually have been in contact with the author, Gary Chambers. Nice guy. And so, yeah, he was the one that told me about his book and stuff and gave me the copy, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. So I actually did enjoy it. I kept the book, still have it, and I reference it every once in a while when, I need to remember something real quick, and I just go back and I'm like, it's a great book for referencing stuff, honestly. Because if there's certain things about the ship that I'm like, ooh, I need to remember what that was. If I try to look through Queen Mary, Queen of the Queens by William J. Duncan, it might take me forever. But if I go to the Queen Mary Manual, I can just look at the table of contents. It tells you all the different parts of the ship. You just go to that page and you'll find the information. So, really cool. Historic Production says, Alex, how many helms does Queen Mary have compared to Titanic's? I don't know compared to Titanic's, but I can tell you how many helms Queen Mary has. So she technically has 5 helms, the Queen Mary, and that's by technicality. And so the reason why is because there are 2 telemotor helms on the bridge for redundancy in case one goes out and the other, you need to use the other. There is a 3rd helm on the bridge that technically isn't for steering the ship. It is called the Iron Mike, and it was for keeping the ship on course when out at sea. If you tried to steer the ship with the Iron Mike, it may not be as accurate, but it could keep you on course. But yeah, technically, I think if you've exhausted every other option, you could steer the ship with the Iron Mike. Now, the other 2 helms, there is one on the docking bridge of the Queen Mary, which is at the stern of the ship. The one on the docking bridge is designed mainly for helping to steer the ship when it is being docked and moored to a pier. But if there was something wrong on the bridge and you couldn't use either of the 2 telemotor helms there, you could use the docking bridge one. But let's say there was also really bad weather, and it was not safe to be on the stern of the ship to steer the ship. You could go down into the steering gear room where the 5th and final helm was, technically the 4th helm, but anyway, you get my point. And the helm in the steering gear room, actually, there technically was 6 when you think about it. I'll mention this. Okay, so first of all, let me just finish what I was saying. There's a helm in the steering gear room for steering the ship, and there's a telegraph in the steering gear room that connects to the one on the bridge. So let's say the bridge helms went out and the one on the docking bridge was not safe to be on because of rough weather or whatever, then there was the one in the steering gear room, and using the telegraph they could tell you which direction to steer, what, all that kind of stuff, and keep in contact. But if there was something wrong with the ship's steering, operated on hydraulics. So it was a hydraulic, 4 hydraulic rams could move the spine, for lack of better words, the spine of the rudder. And there was back then it was complex, a complex mechanical system designed to shift the valves of the hydraulic system to make it so you could move the hydraulic rams. If that complex valve system had failed, technically you wouldn't be able to steer the ship, but there was one other way to do it. You could manually open and shut the valves using a wheel. So there was technically a fifth helm on the, or sixth helm on the ship. And that helm, you could also steer the ship with it, but its purpose was in case there was something wrong with the automatic valve changing system for operating the hydraulics of the Queen Mary. And I think I should make a separate video about that on my channel, because I think that's also really fascinating. And I just need footage of that helm so I could talk about it. But yeah, technically 6 helms on the Queen Mary. Yeah, so that is that. Well, that's gone. There's still a little bit of tea left in here. It's not all that warm, but, you know. K4RNA, thank you so much for the donation. Oh my goodness. Thank you for your channel. I hope you get 50K soon. Get the train out when you can. You're right. I got to like light a fire under my butt to get that train unpacked, you know, get it running. I finally have a separate room for it, so I can finally get around it, clean the tracks, put that special grease that I've been, you know, talking about for months on the tracks that will help give it better connectivity to electricity. Yeah, I will. And I'm thinking about doing most of the train stuff on a separate channel dedicated specifically to that, to train stuff. So Moonzer says, Alex, is that footage screen recorded? No. The footage is directly pulled from not the source video, but videos of the source video. So, but no, it is not a screen recording. Otherwise, I'd be sitting there forever waiting for the whole thing to play out in front of me. But yeah. And a lot of the footage that's playing in the corner, you can't tell because this live stream is in 1080p, but a lot of the footage in the corner I have upgraded from its original like 480p format to 1080p. Some of it is in 4K. I've upgraded all that with a special software I have to make it look clearer, because a lot of the footage was in really bad condition. There was a lot of visual noise on the screen. There was lots of like sometimes it was blurry, sometimes it was just like pixelated. So I upgraded all the footage that you see in the corner, and it's a lot sharper and a lot clearer than it was when it was originally posted to YouTube. So I have all that much nicer footage, and I use that for my videos now, you know, to provide some high quality footage of the ships. So that's how I do it. Anyway, it looks like people are leaving the chat, and frankly it's because, you know, we've been on here for like almost 2 hours, so I will have to say goodbye soon, but it won't be goodbye forever. That being said, let me talk to you folks who are still lingering about these tea time streams. So it's possible I may switch to doing afternoon tea only once per week, and moving the Sunday tea time streams to becoming like just a regular stream for hanging out with people. And the reason why, let me give you the reason, is because I have had a really bad time finding time to do the things I need to do for the channel. It takes me forever to make these history videos. It's been almost a month since I posted my last video on this channel, and that's not good. Like, I need to do it more often. But one of the reasons is I just don't have enough time. Just doing this tea time today, it took a whole hour before this stream started to set up for this stream. And then after the stream is done, you know, like, when I say goodbye to you today, I'm going to have to go, like, finish dinner, and I'm done for the day. Like, I can't work on YouTube videos for the rest of the day. And one of the reasons is I don't do it late at night. My friend Chris will work on his videos till like midnight. I try not to do that because it gives me, I don't know, working till late at night makes it so I can't fall asleep ever. So I can't do that. So I have to work in the mornings and the afternoons on my videos. But doing these tea time streams, and then sometimes doing a Saturday or Friday stream for other things like Disneyland Railroad live stream or Titanic live stream. I love doing those, but then it takes away from my time making history videos. And to be honest, there aren't that many people that tune in on Sundays anyway. It's kind of weird. Like, you'd think there'd be a lot more people watching my tea time streams on Sundays, because everybody has weekends off, you'd think. But they don't. People don't show up. So I think middle of the week is good for tea time streams, but I think I want to, like, only do one tea time stream per week, and then do one non-related stream on another day of the week. So I'm thinking about doing that. Tea time streams, for now, will remain on Wednesdays, but I may end up switching that to Tuesday. I don't know. It may stay on Wednesday, to be honest. It may stay on Wednesday. I don't know. But yeah, so my hope is that by condensing the amount of live streams I do every week, I will have more time to work on history videos so I can get them out sooner. I would love to put out one history video per week if it's possible. But it's at this time, it's not that possible. So we will see. All right. Ribs have been on for 6 hours now. I bet they're going to be great. Oh, yeah. They're going to be so good. These, yeah, I have to wait 2 more hours, and then I can take them out of the oven, and I'm so excited. But anyway, folks, I wanted to thank you all for joining me on this stream. Tune in at the end of the week. Friday, at worst Saturday, will be my update of the Queen Mary construction. So it'll be the update for this month. And then after that, there will be some history videos coming to the channel. Yeah. Possibly this Saturday or possibly this Sunday, I may do some other kind of live stream. Maybe not a tea time, but some other kind. But otherwise, until then, the next tea time will be on Wednesday. So tune in for that. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.